Hello everybody and welcome back to another Division 2 video. Clutch is back and it works very well with this build. This is probably the only build that Clutch is any good with anymore. With this build, Clutch is a flawless talent. First things first, let's get right into the crown jewel of this build. This is the Devil's Due named backpack. You can farm for this backpack in the Dark Zone. The reason this backpack is important is because of its perfect talent, perfect clutch. So what it does is when you get below 20% armor, every critical hit you land will give you 2.5% armor back. It only goes up to 20% armor until you get a kill, then you can get all of your armor back up to 100% getting critical hits. With that being said, maxing out crit chance is essential for this build to work. Don't be concerned with that time limit, that 4 to 10 seconds based on the number of red core attributes. As you'll see in a second, this build covers all the bases. As you might have guessed, the Devil's Due synergizes perfectly with Hunter's Fury. So what we're going to be doing is running 2 pieces with blue core attributes and 2 with red core attributes. The secondary attributes are rolled to critical hit chance and critical hit damage as needed. So what this set does with 2 pieces is it gives us 15% shotgun damage and SMG damage. Then with the 3-piece set, we get 20% armor on kill and 50% health on kill. So what the 4-piece does is it amplifies your weapon damage by 20% to all the enemies within 15 meters of you. Once you kill an enemy, the other enemies within 5 meters of that one get disoriented, and you get a 5% additional amplification added as a stack to your build. This stacks up to 5 times, so that could be a 45% amplified damage bonus. Next, we got 1-piece Sock Glove to give us that 10% SMG damage, rolled with critical hit chance and damage as needed. What's important is to have Obliterate on the chest piece. What Obliterate does is it gives you an additional 1% weapon damage for every critical hit that you get, up to 25 times. We need to get critical hits to stay alive with this build, and we need to get critical hits fast. Outside of the critical hits, we just need to get kills to get some armor back. That's why we're choosing Gunner, is because whenever you get a kill, you get an additional 5% fire rate. The faster your gun is shooting, the more chances you have to crit, the more armor you get back. Not only that, but you get an additional 10% armor on kill with Gunner. That is significant because Hunter's Fury already gives you 20%. If you land just 4 critical hits, that's an additional 10% armor. If you get 8 critical hits, that's 20%. That is basically 50% armor on kill. We all know how fast the Ouroboros shoots. If you don't have the Ouroboros, that's completely okay. I have 3 other tested SMGs that worked great for me. We'll get into those right after we're done getting into the Ouroboros. So here we are at the Ouroboros. As you can see, its RPM is basically 1500. That is by far the highest in the game. It will be over 1500 when we get that 5% fire rate increase after getting a kill. You want to try to get damage to targets out of cover or damage to armor. Targets out of cover will give you more, but damage to armor is more versatile. The talent of this Ouroboros is not important. All it does is takes whatever status effect has been applied to you and makes half of your magazine on your next magazine do that to any enemy you shoot. I know a lot of you are missing the Ouroboros, so let's check out the alternatives now. Here are the 3 tested and true alternatives to the Ouroboros. First, we have the Vector 45 ACP, the named version, the Dark Winter. This shoots at about 1200 RPM. Next, we have the MP7. The MP7 is underrated and undervalued. The MP7 has a really good base damage, along with a 1000 round fire rate. We really don't want to dip below 1000 RPM with this build just because of how critical crits are. Our last option is the Vector SBR 9mm. This is a good option, shooting at about 1200 rounds per minute. What's great about this one is you can get over 50 rounds in a magazine. I have 3 talent suggestions for anybody who does not have the Ouroboros. First is Measured. It'll help you get that RPM up. So what it does is the top half of the magazine gives you an increase of 20% rate of fire with a minus 30% weapon damage, but the bottom half will give you a negative 20% fire rate with an additional 30% weapon damage. That initial burst will help you get some of that armor back, while the last half of the magazine will get you the kill to get you the larger chunks of armor back, which leads us into Preservation as the next talent. After you get a kill, you get 10% of your armor back over 5 seconds. If it's a headshot kill, it's improved by an additional 10% armor on kill. That is a very easy 70% armor on kill using Preservation. And finally, the last suggested talent is Killer. The Dark Winter just so happens to give you 50% critical hit damage instead of 40% as a bonus if you kill somebody with a critical hit. Here's the full build shown as requested. Let's keep in mind that the MP7 is just a placeholder. You can use any gun you want, along with the skills, any skills you want, whatever you feel is best. Let's finish out with the stats. We have about 90k base damage. This comes with a 60% maxed out critical hit chance, as well as 150% critical hit damage. This is on top of a 70% headshot damage increase. We have 1.1 million armor with 30% armor on kill. This is in addition to whatever clutch gives us. That can easily be 20%. It's safe to round that out and say we get about 50% armor on kill. Maybe even 70% armor on kill if you were using the preservation talent on a vector. That's gonna do it for this video. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Tell me anything and everything you guys would do differently with this build. Also, thank you guys so much for all the help that you've been giving me and all the supportive comments, everything. I hope you guys have a nice night. Bye-bye!